Grunge became a noun. It seemed a way to pigeonhole a bunch of bands.
Along the way, somebody decided to call it grunge.
What is grunge? Does it involve a flannel shirt?
Hello! Yo, welcome to the Grunge. This is our very first episode. It will serve as an introduction to the podcast. We are a podcast focused on exploring the big four of the Seattle sound. We will focus on Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Soundgarden, and Alice in Chains. I'm your host. My name is Joseph Rose.
And I'm your co-host, Jeremy Wood.
Jerry?
Jerry.
We're not going to do this again. His name is Jerry or Jeremy.
Jerry will do.
And I'm going to call him Jeremy or Jerry. And
this is the third time we've done this, and it is absolutely the third time. Do you want to do this over again, or do you want to have this discussion?
We're not going to have it. Out. I'm going to call you Jerry until you tell me not to.
Jerry.
Okay.
All right.
What is this podcast? What are we going to do here? What is the point of this?
Well, the whole thing is a direct look, a focused look at the big four and the ancillary characters that went on around during the grunge era, and I think it begins and it ends for a lot of people with these four bands. And I'm going to be a passenger on this bus with you guys. As I have a working knowledge. Whatever 120 minutes played or MTV played, I was on it. And if it was on the background when girls had it on, I was there too.
I don't know what you just said, Jerry.
Yeah.
Here, I'm going to give a brief description of what we're going to try to do here. We have these four bands, like I said, Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains. Soundgarden began at the beginning in 1987, and our plan is to go through the catalogs of all four of these bands in one continuous timeline as they release EPs and albums and videos and things like that all along the way. And we're going to cover each one of those releases pretty much in chronological order. That's the plan. In between there's going to be albums that came out that are important and related to these albums, but weren't from those four bands. Examples could be Mother Love Bone, Temple of the Dog, Mad Season, things like that. We're going to cover those albums too, but those episodes will probably appear in our Patreon account for members of that, which we can talk about more later. But all the other albums will be in the main podcast feed, and I think that's the basic plan, right?
That's the basic plan. There will be a massive celebration once we get to the Judgment Night soundtrack. That's where my expertise will come into play.
We won't remind me to make sure that's on the list. I don't know if it is.
Real big deal. No plans. Appointment listening?
Sure.
Podcasting?
Sure. I don't know if I have it on the list, but it definitely belongs on the list, so we will make sure that it gets covered one way or another. Let's talk about what these bands generally meant to us or where we were at in life. Now, I know that you, in the beginning, we're talking roughly 91, 92, let's say, about that era, once everything was really on the radar and it beginning to explode. You were leaning more toward hip-hop of that era?
Well, yeah, I had come back from Europe as my dad was in the military, and what caught on to me was Fab Five Freddy and UMTV raps and all that stuff. So I got caught up in that. Didn't have a lot of friends, so no one told me that, having a rat tail and stripes on the side of your head was the wrong thing to do. Didn't talk to a lot of people. My sister had gotten very much into the rock grunge aspect.
She was older?
She's younger. She's 2 years younger. So we found it, and again, we were listening to the radio. I had one 5-minute tune, 1 5-minute space, and she had another 5-minute space. And I went to Power 99 or whatever the hip hop channel was at the time, and they played Reminisce. And then she went right over to it might have been 106 or some other station, and it was Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit. And that's when everything was opened up to me at that point.
Did one of these bands sort of catch your attention first? Were there any of them that
Alice in Chains.
They were your shit?
Alice in Chains was my
Really?
end all be all as far as the grunge era goes, because that was significantly different than everything.
And you
else.
caught them first during
The single soundtrack.
single soundtrack. That's
Yeah.
Wood got you.
Yeah, Wood got me.
Gotcha. Yeah, as a kid, I was into tons of music. By that, at that point when Soundgarden first began, 1987, I was unaware of them at that point, as most people were outside of Seattle. I was really into Guns N' Roses. Come 1988, Appetite for Destruction had been out for a while. That was really my shit. That Guns had taken over at that point. They were just the coolest thing I'd ever seen. I got hip to Pearl Jam pretty often, pretty early. My first exposure to them was a girl in high school had a dubbed copy of the Alive EP, which I wasn't even aware that was a release at the time, but Pearl Jam had put out, I think, a 3-song cassette EP that featured Alive, maybe Footsteps, I don't remember, and the cover, I've Got a Feeling, which was sort of an altered version of a Beatles song that they had done. And I really liked that. And then I discovered them on MTV when the Alive video and Even Flow videos came out. And then when they did the Unplugged, that was it.
I changed the game right there.
Yeah, I thought they were great when I heard those first couple videos, but as a kid, I didn't have much money. I couldn't freely buy albums. There was no fucking internet. So I was at the mercy of maybe I could save up my lunch money and buy like a CD a week. And based on bands I'd heard on the radio or MTV, I would do that pretty often. I'd get together whatever fucking lunch money or whatever I could get, buy an album at the mall, and hope it was good. And I had been on a streak of getting burned a few times. And I particularly remember the one that really was just one too many was Candlebox. I had heard a couple jams from Candlebox on the TV. Thought they're pretty cool. I like this. I'm going to check out their album. I bought it and I didn't like it. And I was like, God damn it, I can't return this. I actually paid for the thing. I'm a kid. I have no money. And so I was like very skeptical of buying new albums.
You didn't have the Columbia House thing, did you?
Yeah, I did. I did earlier on and probably again later, but I don't know. It wasn't on my radar at this point. I was ready to buy albums and be happy with them. And I'd gotten burned. So when I heard Pearl Jam's first few songs, I was really into them. But I was like, I don't know if they're any good. I'm not going to buy this album. I don't have any money, But then they did Unplugged. And I particularly remember while listening to them do Jeremy on the Unplugged, I was like, this is great. Like, this is a great fucking song. This band sounds great. I'm in. And so from that point on, it was Pearl Jam mania. I fell in love with Soundgarden, eventually fell in love with Alice in Chains, and it took me a long, long time to get cool with Nirvana. But eventually I came to appreciate them as well. But yeah, we'll take this ride from the beginning. And I think probably both of us, maybe more so you, will get to experience some of these albums maybe for the first time or for the first time in a long, long time.
This is going to be a journey for me. And I know that after seeing the first list of how many albums these 4 bands have.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go years and
It's a
years
lot.
and just deep dive. So this is going to be an indoctrination for me. And maybe along the line, we'll listen to the Humpty Dance. I had the choice of getting Pearl Jam's the 10 album or Digital Underground Sex Packets. Now, the Digital Underground Sex Packets was out a lot longer than that, I think.
Yeah.
And I made the right decision because I saw my
Right decision meaning you chose Digital Underground?
No.
Okay.
Tupac had left the band at that point, so that wasn't really anything I wanted. But the Pearl Jam album had Jeremy written on the back, and I was like, there it is.
Yes.
That's my name. My sister's name is Jennifer, so she already had a song with her number written on the wall. And then, but I thought this would be significantly better, and it was not. It was a great song, but it didn't do me a hell of a lot of good.
Jeremy
Was just I'm small. I'm 5'6", and when he says harmless little fuck, I was like, God, How did they know?
It was all about you, man.
Dude, yeah. So that was the first album I bought, and it's a good thing because the Humpty Dance was on there, and that was nice. But I was on Sucks Packets. It wasn't on.
I look. I'm not gonna lie. I love that fucking song, and it's a stupid, ridiculous song. But look, I don't know if it. I tend to say I don't have guilty pleasures, but if I did, maybe that would be on the list.
Oh, yeah.
But I do enjoy that stupid, silly song.
But I think I made the right decision.
You did.
All right.
You did, for sure. So, all right, that's the basic plan that we have for this. We're going to cover each release from all of these bands and then some. Our plan is to release an episode weekly. We're going to try our best to be very consistent about that. And like I mentioned, we do have a Patreon account set up. It'll get tweaked a little right there. Right now, there are 4 separate tiers, one starting at $3 and the next one at $5, I believe. And the tiers from $5 and up will all include access to all of our bonus episodes, which there will be plenty of those. We're going to record a bunch of those. And again, those will be things like Temple of the Dog and Mad Season and, things like that are connected, but not directly from one of our 4 primary bands. And we didn't address, I guess this is the episode to talk about it. We are called the Grunge, and I don't want to go without mentioning the fact that is a stupid term. I don't love this genre title of grunge. What do these bands really have in common, Jerry?
Musicianship, quality. They outlasted. This was grunge turned into a fad, and these guys happened to get through it. Even disco has its luminaries. You know, so like the grunge, while it being a word, while it might have defined, there was so much going on around it.
Yeah, like these are 4 really, to me, distinct sounding bands. Alice in Chains doesn't sound similar to Soundgarden. None of them sound similar to Nirvana. Nirvana sure as fuck doesn't sound like Pearl Jam. They don't have much in common. I call these bands really great rock bands. They're really skillful,
cannot name a podcast,
diverse fucking rock bands.
Right.
And grunge became an unfortunate phase of the fashion industry is what grunge was. Like right now, if you look on Instagram and look at the hashtag grunge, you're going to find a bunch of pictures of primarily women with different outfits and looks that match that grunge aesthetic and whatever that's become. So it's always been an unfortunate title, but that is the one that people use, so it seemed appropriate to go ahead and we're just going to call it the grunge.
And we're naturally self-loathing anyway, so this helps.
Yeah, I hate my own title of my own podcast.
That's so good. That really makes me feel good. I want to get up in the morning knowing I hate what I'm going into the next day.
Exactly. Everybody should hate their job. Okay, our website is thegrungepodcast.com. On that website, you will find links to all of our newly created social media accounts. I would love for everybody to go join up with us on those. We have a Facebook page and an Instagram and a Twitter account that I don't plan on using, but it is there, so we'll see how Twitter goes. I'll be much more active on the Instagram and the Facebook page.
I will take the Twitter because I have no idea how it works, and it will be you just randomly say whatever you want, and then whatever people say back to you, I can't understand because I don't understand how that works. Like the replies.
Well, we'll let you figure it out. And when you say anything you want,
well, no, as it pertains to as it pertains to this, you can just randomly say things like send me stuff.
Maybe we'll set you loose on the Twitter.
I would like money.
Yeah.
And that's why we have to limit the cursing on this. We want premium ads. So if there's any advertising out there, there's only a minimum of 4 F words.
I want to say that, as adults, we can sort of control ourselves and, moderate our language and things. But in reality, I'm going to curse. Mm-hmm. I love cursing. Me too. Those words are basically my favorite words to say. And even if I tried to not say them, it's probably going to happen. Well, if I get happy, I'm going to say them. If I get upset, I'm going to say them. I'm just going to say them. I'm going to say them to just fucking fill space sometimes, But
not during our legal Zoom ad.
No. Okay. We'll try not to do that. So, all right, website is The Grunge Podcast. Our email address is thegrungepodcast@gmail.com. I would love to entice all of you to send us emails with feedback, questions, suggestions, your feelings about the albums that we're covering or going to cover, anything related or even slightly unrelated. Feel free to drop us a line. And I guess that's the gist of it here.
That is absolutely the point of all of this.
All right. This was an introduction. We're going to see you all very soon with our first real episodes. So please subscribe to the podcast on whatever podcast platform you prefer.
Like, share, and follow.
Don't be a square. Bye.